Hello everyone and welcome back to our channel. We are Millennial Mom. If you don't know who is who, I'm Millennial. This is Mom.
Hello everyone and welcome back to our channel. If you're new here, I'm Mom or Kay from Millennial Mom, and today we're going to talk about Match Me Abroad, Season 1, Episode 11, Playing with Matches. Now, if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, please consider subscribing and join the family. I believe the subscribe button is in your bottom right-hand section of your device, whatever you're watching on, whether it be TV, your phone, or whatever you're using. Don't forget to hit that like button. Leave your comments so I know what you think about this episode if you're watching along with Married Abroad and what these singles are or aren't bringing to the show. And tell a friend to tell a friend that Mom or Kay from Millennial Mom is doing Match Me Abroad, even though I think there's only like maybe, I'm going to go ahead and say like 2 more episodes. It's about it until they wrap up the season. Not sure if they're going to do a tell-all. It would be nice if they did so we know like where are they now and to see what really happened after they left their destination and came home, to see if anyone else made a connection and go from there. So if you are new to this, Match Me Abroad is about American singles going to another country, meeting up with a matchmaker to find love because they've been unlucky in love in America. So at the top, we have 3 singles. We have Harold. He's in Prague. We have Stanika. She's in Morocco. We have Susan on the right in the black dress. She was in Colombia. And then at the very bottom are the matchmakers. On the left, in the blue dress, we have Katarína in Prague. In the middle is Nina, Morocco. And on the right is Juan, the matchmaker in Colombia. All right, so let's get started. So we pick back up from last week's episode. And we have Michelle. Do I still have a picture of Michelle? Let me see. Do I still have a picture of Michelle? I don't. I took them off because we're going towards the end of the season. So if you've been watching, you probably know who they are by now. And if you haven't, then, just roll with the flow, please. And so Michelle's on her second date with Michael. Michael is actually, and she's also in Prague. Michael is a doctor. And Michael is into the American way of life, the culture. He has his hair kind of like a young Elvis Presley. That's the look that he gives, with the flip top, I guess you call it boudoir. I'm not sure the name, pompadour hairstyle that flip. It's jet black and everything. Their very first date, they had a date where they made like a cake or something like that. Michael was so into the directions of how to bake the cake that it made Michelle feel uncomfortable, because they weren't really talking about anything. He just was like, okay, we need flour, we need this and that. And so Michelle was telling him, different things about what she was doing before she came over to Prague. She was like, well, I've been to a fetish convention, trying to get his attention of the things that she used to do. Even though he heard her, it kind of went in one ear and out the other. Now, by the end of the date, when they finally got the cake in the oven, they had just a little bit more conversation. And by that time, they both decided, hey, maybe we'll try to go on another date because I think I like you. And I was thinking, how did you get to I think I like you if you really, from what we saw, had maybe 5 to 10 minutes of conversation? It seemed like an hour, however long it takes to make a cake. So they're on their second date, like I mentioned, but this time it's a date that Katarína, the matchmaker, set up for Michelle, because Michelle identifies as a staunch feminist, and she wants someone who's going to take her serious and not look at her as just a pretty face. She wants them to know that she can hold her own and just, don't treat her like a princess, a Barbie, or whatever. So Katarína's like, okay, well, I'm going to assist you and Michael get closer and get in tune with your emotions. So when Michael and Katarína do meet up for their date, they go to this location, and it turns out that Katarína is there too. She welcomes them in, and the person who is going to assist them with their date is Katarína's husband, John, who is an emotional and energy spirit counselor to get them in tune with their emotions and, release things that may have been built up in the past, just to let it go for a clean slate, move forward. So Michelle's a little awkward to go into this particular kind of date because she's not really into her feelings like that. But Michael, he has nervous energy. He's like, okay, well, we can try whatever you want. So when Katarína and, not Katarína, that's the matchmaker. When Michelle and Michael sit down to talk with John is explaining the steps about releasing the energy, changing the mood, shifting, and things like that. Michael is like, so are you saying that this energy will tap into the cerebral complex of the mind, and just going all technical? And, again, Michael's a doctor, so I can see like maybe where he got his first question from, tapping into the emotions of your mind. But the other question kind of seemed like he was just out there and just kind of, I don't know, saying things to say things, but I guess he knew what he was talking about, right? In confessional, John said that he felt like Michael was a little annoying and clingy. I said, wait a minute. You're the guidance, the counselor, or the guidance counselor, right? Of the energy and the focus and the redirection, and you think that Michael is annoying? I'm like, you haven't even started yet. Yes, he'd ask a lot of questions, but if you don't know, if you don't ask, you don't know. So, anyways, when the exercise continued on, Michael and Michelle on the floor, she's sitting there looking at Michael like, I can't believe he is just so in tune to what's going on. Michael has tapped into whatever is going on inside. He starts to releasing tears. He's really feeling that type of energy. Now, again, with Michelle describing herself as staunch feminist, she don't look like she's feeling this at all. And not even Michael. So when it came to an exercise where it's like, hug each other to build off the energy and build off what you're feeling, Michael hugs Michelle like in a position, and it turns out the position, because Michael explained it, was he felt like Michelle was like the mother to his inner child. So he felt like at peace with her. When Michael explained that, like, oh, the inner child type thing, Michelle said, so yeah, that was a turnoff. Who wants to be with a guy who says that you make them feel like you're their mom? She goes, nope. This date is not going to continue on anymore. So they have a third date, I should say. So they finish the date off. And then when we see Michelle again, she's actually meeting with Katarína to discuss what happened. And Michelle is like, you know what? Please find me somebody else. I can't be with Michael. He gave me this energy that is weird to me. He said it felt like he was being with his mom. So no, I need someone, she wants someone with a little bit more manliness about them, and that's not Michael. Okay. And Katarína said, yeah, John told me how Michael was acting, and I agree. You do need another date. So Katarína set her up with another date named Pavol, spelled like Pavol. I think that's how it's pronounced. It's another blind date. When Michelle meets Pavol, he's dressed in a tuxedo. She said he looks like her type just by his build and what he looks like. And it's a date where Katarína, like I said, set it up and they don't really know where they're going. But when they get to their destination, they have like masquerade ball type masks to wear. And they're going to be following some instructions as the date goes along. So we'll have to see how it turns out. All right, so let's move to Mark. Mark is calling, texting, looking for Huda. Now, last week, Mark had a date with Huda. Actually, it was his second date. And Huda explained to Mark that, why are you still with the matchmaker? Like, what are you going to do after our date? Are you still going to pursue other matches? Mark said that he was because, hey, that's what he's here for. Well, Huda told Mark that, you know what, if you can't be exclusive with me, then we don't need to carry on and continue. And Mark said, well, how would I know? I'm trying to find, a match too. And my thing with that, I have to agree with Mark, and I'm not team Mark usually at all, because Mark still gives 44-year-old frat boy vibes. He said because Mark said he wants a wife that he doesn't have to take care of. She got to hold her own, which is fine. But he also, the way he was describing it, he was describing like a kind of like a sugar baby that had her own. So, he's trying to eat his cake, or have his cake and eat it too, or however the saying goes. Well, Mark decided to sleep on the ultimatum that Huda gave from the night before. And now they were supposed to meet up. And so he's at the spot at the market to meet up. He's calling, he's texting, he's doing all kind of stuff, right? Walking around the neighborhood, talking to vendors, waiting for her to pick up the call. She doesn't. Mark waited a whole entire hour and that was it. He was like, why should I continue to wait around if she's just going to ghost me when I decided that, yeah, I'll just go ahead and be exclusive with her. So, I mean, do you think it was wrong for Huda to like ghost him? Because that's how the vibe is giving off right now. Or was Mark, is he moving a little bit too fast because he's got an ultimatum from Huda saying, if you want to be with me, you got to be exclusive. And if Mark is with the matchmaker, so was Huda. So how would Huda know she wants to be exclusive too? Because Huda just on the second date decided, well, maybe Mark is the right guy for me. So I don't know. And there's also a 20-year age difference between the two. So yeah, it's going to be something to watch next week if Huda does answer the phone or Mark decides that he's going to be leaving Colombia. Okay, so let's move to Chad. Chad is meeting up with Juan to say that he enjoyed the date with Beba and also on his first date with Maria when he first made it to Colombia. Now, the thing about Chad is, and Juan keeps telling Chad this as well, Chad needs to slow down with giving out as much information to all his business right away. You want to get to know someone first without giving your whole entire life history, okay? So Chad has also been engaged 3 times, which does bring up some red flags because Chad even said himself that he seemed like he rushed into those relationships and he wasn't necessarily ready. But he's in Colombia because he feels like he is more attracted to Latin women and he's here to find his match. Now, when he's talking to Juan about not being able to decide between Beba and Maria, they both have the aesthetic he likes, the long hair, the skin tone, the physique. But Chad has a thing where, he's telling Juan, and he's telling Juan in a way that's kind of like, I don't know, his energy is giving, like, if they don't do this, then I can't either. He's saying that, whoever he decides to choose, that if they're not ready to go to the United States and move back to the Tennessee with him, this will never work because this is the sole purpose of him being in Colombia to find someone to bring him back to the States. And I'm like, that's the only sole purpose? I mean, he didn't say anything like dating them to get to know them and see where it blossomed and grew. But like, if I like you, you got to be ready to come back now. So I think this is part of what maybe occurred in Chad's past about moving too fast and being, rushing things. And Juan is trying to tell him, again, slow your roll, slow down. And he didn't necessarily give the answer just yet, maybe in next week's episode, about Chad's response to they're not ready to go now, then they can't be with me. It's like Chad already, in my opinion, he's giving the cowboy type because when Beba and Maria met him, they're like, oh, he looks like an American cowboy. He actually does. But Chad's personality is coming out more and more, and it's coming out very, very rushy, picky, just, I don't know. There's something off with Chad. It just is something off that, I don't know. Maybe we'll have to see in the next episode because when he's going to be on a date with Beba, something in the conversation that's going to trigger Chad to get up and leave. So yeah, we'll save a little bit for Chad for next week. So do I have high hopes for Chad in Colombia? In my opinion, not really, but that's just me. All right, so let's move to Harold and Michaela. So Harold has met with his matchmaker, Katarína. He's at a jewelry shop because Harold is determined to make a grand gesture for Michaela, who he had the best date he's been on since he's been in Prague. They had a date a night they started in the daytime, the morning, breakfast, all the way through dinner. And Harold is smitten. He feels like, listen, Michaela could be the one, and he wants her to know this. Now, Harold at first was a little apprehensive about buying that engagement ring because it's such, well, I shouldn't say engagement ring. Well, he did say engagement, but I don't know if Harold wants to do his engagement, a promise ring, or whatever. Either way, the grand gesture. He's having, second thoughts, teetering like, is it too much? Is he moving too fast? And yeah, he is, because it's only been 2 days. But again, I guess if you know, you know. So he goes outside to think about it. When he comes back in the jewelry store, he tells Katarína he's going to go ahead and get the ring. So he ends up getting one that's sapphire. It's the sapphire stone. He said because it matches Michaela's eyes. So Harold is very sentimental. And to be honest, I think Harold is the MVP of Match Me Abroad, okay? Because he really wants to have, I'm not saying the others don't want the same experience, but Harold is really determined to have the true love story experience and is doing whatever it takes to get that. And even Katarína said that even though she feels he's moving too fast, she's going to support what he wants to do going forward. So Harold is also telling Katarína that he is going to visit Michaela on her day off, which is tomorrow. So we'll see him venture to the next day to meet Michaela's family, her friends, and to make that grand gesture to let her know that, hey, I really want to be with you because I'm going home soon. And so you know that you're always in my heart, to let you know we're exclusive. And so he also tells Katarína that he hasn't necessarily heard from Michaela since she's been home. He's called, he's texted, and he hasn't received any return calls in a few days. So he's worried, but he's still going to take the trip and bring the ring anyways. So when we see Harold, he's on that train. He's still calling and texting Michaela. No answer. He said it's worth the risk. He said he's going to get to the train station when it gets to her hometown and hopes that she picks up and comes to get him because he don't have a plan B. Okay, and I'm like, Harold, you are definitely taking the risk for love, but I don't know. I don't know if a lot of people would do what Harold's done, but I guess that's why you pay a matchmaker. That's why you pay to do whatever to find the one. And since he feels she's the one, that's what he's going to do. Well, it takes when Harold does make it to the train station, it takes a little bit more time for Michaela to even pick up. And she does. She asks, is he at the train station? He says he is, or vice versa. And she's like, I'll be there. And so before Michaela gets to the train station, she's in confessional and she says that, yeah, she's heard from Harold. She's got the calls and the texts, but she's been so busy with work that she hasn't had the time to respond. And see, that's what gets me. For anybody, doesn't matter where you live around the world, if you are interested in somebody, it doesn't matter. You make the time, okay? It only takes half a second to text, pick up a call, whatever. If you want to, you will. If it interests you, you will. And if you don't, then you'll put it to the back burner. And it seems like Michaela may have ghosted Harold to a point. So anyways, when we see Michaela walk up to Harold, his face just lights up like a Christmas tree. He's nervous, of course. He says that the ring in his pocket or his suitcase is, getting real heavy. Okay, so he really wants to give it to Michaela now, but he'll wait. Now, Michaela and Harold, they go to a restaurant to get something to eat. It looked like it was a Italian restaurant. So Harold is just, trying to fill out Michaela, and Michaela's talking to Harold, but Harold feels like the energy isn't the same, and it isn't. But I think there's something else that probably needs to be said from Michaela to Harold as the reason as to why she hasn't been as, communicative, as she could. I try to get it out. Having communication. Okay. That's what I was trying to say. So yeah, we'll have to see. Also too, hopefully before the show ends, what she has to say. And then maybe I'll give you just a little piece of what maybe I heard at the end of the episode. All right. Finally, let's move to Stanika and Noordine. Noordine has set up a nice romantic dinner for Stanika with food, belly dancing, and good times and laughs. And let me tell you something. I think this is the nicest I've ever seen Stanika on this show. I'm not saying she hasn't dressed nice or anything like that, but tonight's episode was the episode of her looking just different and just really into her date, the night, and everything else. It's also Stanika's last night before she comes back to America. Well, I think they're having good conversation. I think they always have had good conversation, but it's just a little something about Nordine, like when he talks, and maybe it's about the culture. He's talking to her like in a matter-of-fact type tone. And Stanika, to me, comes across like she also can talk to you in a matter-of-fact type tone, but also looking at you like, I'm sorry, excuse me, what did you say? Like trying to see how it is that you said what you said to make sure that you weren't trying to be shady or say something a little bit off the wall. Because Stanika seemed like she's the type that will definitely tell you how she feels when she feels it. Okay. So the bottom line is Nordine is telling Stanika that, listen, I'm 41 years old now. I'm a grown man, and it's time for me to be in a relationship. And I want to tell you what it is that I want. So he's telling Stanika that, you know, he's moving around to tell her, if you want to be exclusive, now's the time. Like, do we need to talk about it? Like, what is it that you want? He says, I feel that we're both on the same page. We both found someone who we're looking for, and personality, looks, just the things that like the same, the type of person who likes the same type of things. I think I found it in you. You found it in me. And Stika's like, yeah, I have. So like, what else is it that you need to say? So, do you think that maybe Nordine's energy, like I said, is that kind of like demanding, like wanting to know right now kind of energy coming off, that Stanika's looking at him? She's smiling, but also giving him like I'm looking at you, but, you know, are you being careful, or is she being cautious with what she wants to say? Because I believe that she really does like Nordine like that. So, but again, we were left with a few cliffhangers for this episode. Now, that wasn't of this episode, but next week we're going to see Chad have a second date with Beba. And as I mentioned a little earlier, something comes up that Beba said that throws Chad off, and he gets up and says, that's it right there. That's the reason why this is not it, why we can't go forward. So I wonder what threw him off. I know Beba's personality is a little bit more, she calls it Latina. So maybe Latina spice came out. Maybe she doesn't want to move to Tennessee right away. So we'll have to see, because Chad, for him to get up and walk away, yeah, it was something he clearly wasn't feeling. Also, Mark is meeting with Nina, the matchmaker, to say that, you know, he really hoped he'd find love in Morocco, and that didn't happen. He said he felt like, you know, his adult life, that he always felt really like he's been left behind, and he's, you know, doesn't know what else to do. And so he's going to be flying home back to the States. Also, we have Harold asking Michaela the question. And is it the question going to be like, will you be my girlfriend? Will you be my fiance? So we'll have to see which one it is. Also, the little something, a little quick, sorry, y'all, it's a spoiler that I heard that maybe Michaela's been posting on Facebook or Instagram on different pages that she's actually going through chemo treatment. So maybe that could be the reason why she was ghosting Harold for a little bit in a small way. Maybe, you know, he didn't know, or maybe she feels like maybe he wouldn't like her as much if he knew about the type of treatment she was on. I don't know. I'm guessing from what maybe she's thinking in her mind, just my opinion. So Harold doesn't seem like he's that kind of guy. He seemed like he's a stand-up kind of dude that wouldn't ghost her, because he really likes her. So that could be it. I don't know. We'll see next week. And then Stanika and Nordine decide where their relationship is going to go, whether they're going to be in it or not, because Nordine said, take him as he is, or it's over. So we'll got to get Stanika's response. And then Michelle finishing up her date at a mystery location, the masquerade ball that's going to come out with the different whips and the change. Michelle said that was waiting for them. So we'll see what kind of masquerade ball that it is. Okay. So, all right, everyone. Thank you so much for watching. That was Match Me Abroad on TLC, and on Mondays after 90 Day the Other Way. So I will be back next week with the next video. So until next time, everyone, thank you again for watching. Live simply, be grateful.